Michael Gove has warned senior colleagues to avoid a rerun of Project Fear during a crunch cabinet meeting over what Brexit end state the government should be aiming for, The Guardian understands. Those present claimed the Environment Secretary, who was one of the figureheads of the Vote Leave campaign, urged the room to avoid a repeat of the divisive arguments of the EU referendum. Details of the cabinet discussions emerged as Theresa May told her cabinet that she aims to pursue a bespoke trade deal that is significantly more ambitious than the EU's deal with Canada, in the first formal discussion ministers have held about goals for final outcome. That position was broadly backed by the leading ministers, who took it in turns to have their say as British negotiators gear up to enter Phase 2 of talks, focused on transition and then the future trading arrangement. One source said Gove, backed by Boris Johnson and others, was pushing for the government to adopt an optimistic tone about Britain's exit from the EU, but that his comments were not directed at any colleagues in particular. However, another individual said they felt he was hitting out at the Chancellor, Philip Hammond, and effectively accusing him of peddling Project Fear. Another figure confirmed that Gove had made a pointed comment aimed at Hammond but said it was over a different argument in relation to the negotiation strategy, and it was also suggested that the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, told off the Environment Secretary in response. In what was described as a more lively meeting than Monday's Brexit in a cabinet discussion, the Chancellor was supported by Rudd and others in pressing for a final outcome in which the British economy remained close to that of the EU. Amid a spectrum of views set out at length over a long session, they wanted to see the most alignment, while others, such as Johnson and Gove, pushed for Britain to be more able to diverge on standards from the EU. The Home Secretary reiterated her argument that ministers must be wary about moves that could be damaging economically and harm current jobs in the UK. The position is backed by Hammond but also others such as the Welfare Secretary, David Gauke, Business Secretary, Greg Clark, and Damien Green, effectively the Deputy Prime Minister. Justine Greening, the Education Secretary, was also supportive, although sources insisted she did not identify herself as a backer of soft or hard Brexit. However, she did make clear that business needed certainty, particularly in some sectors, such as financial services. Meanwhile, Johnson's arguments about protecting Britain's ability to opt for different regulations in the future was strongly backed by Gavin Williamson, the Defence Secretary, with sources claiming the Culture Secretary, Karen Bradley, also offered her support. However, one source insisted that there is a growing consensus, including from Hammond and Rudd, around the idea that the UK should be able to slowly diverge in certain sectors, although such a position could be resisted by the European Commission. The UK could sign up to all the EU's rules and regulations, staying in the single market, which provides free movement of goods, services and people, and the customs union, in which EU members agree tariffs on external states.